All right, it's 5:20, so I think that we'll go ahead and get started here. So for our new members, we start every meeting off by reading the Human Relations Committee mission. We don't do a formal roll call. We are able, of course, to see who is on the call on the side. So if you're curious about who the participants are, you can click on the little people icons up on the top of the screen if you're on Zoom or Teams right now. But the mission of the Human Relations Committee is to create an atmosphere of inclusion, equality, and accessibility through education and outreach to recognize the value of a diverse community. The first up on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from the December 21st meeting. If there's no comments or corrections, I'd accept a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, a motion by Darcy. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, is that Shay?
Yep.
Okay, second by Shay. All in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Do we have any members of the public on the call that would like to provide public comment at this time? All right, we do have two new people on the call right now. We have Sargiana is our newest member. So I'll toss it over to Sargiana. I'm not seeing your video. There you are. If you can just give us a quick introduction, tell us about yourself and what made you want to become part of the committee. Oh, I think you're still muted.
I should know this by now. I just came from like 3 Zoom meetings. I'm operations officer with Community Options. We provide services to individuals with developmental disabilities. 2 years ago, I also started a nonprofit, and the name of that nonprofit is Arts for All. And what we do is we provide free art opportunities, and that's visual arts, dance, writing, music, drama, and it's for free, and it's specifically targeting individuals who normally wouldn't have an opportunity, specifically those who are at risk, low income, have developmental disabilities. So the main reason that I decided to join or put my name out there was because of the issues I see, especially with disability advocacy, and how that population probably doesn't have as strong a voice as maybe that they should, and to specifically be there as far as that population goes.
Thank you, Sargiana, and welcome. We're excited to have you. I think it's hard because I know that we don't have, not everybody is on their computer. A lot of people might be participating by phone, but if you are on your computer and you're able to turn your cameras on just so she can see your face and see a few other faces on the committee. We have been meeting over Teams for quite some time with the pandemic, but normally we meet in person. So down the road, Sargiana, I think you'll get to know us all really well. We have a real good bunch here. So welcome and thank you for your interest in the committee.
Yep, thank you.
We have one other person on the call, Jason. Let me see here. I'm only seeing a couple cameras. Jason, is your camera still on? There you are. So Jason's on the call. Jason has also expressed interest in serving on the committee, and should a position open up, he's going to likely express interest in filling that position. So welcome, Jason. Thank you for joining us. And did you have any questions before we get started?
I don't. I'm just grateful to be here and appreciate you allowing me to sit in.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We're glad to have you. So with introductions out of the way, I think we can move into the Humanitarian Award. So I had that on the agenda because a few things. First, in 2020, our goal is to present that Humanitarian Award to Dr. Robert Roswick. So just an update on that. It hasn't been presented yet just because he works in a clinic. Some challenges there as far specifically he works in one of the COVID clinics. So some challenges in having a safe opportunity to really celebrate his accomplishments and present that award. But I think with the pandemic, not only presenting the award got put on the back burner, but I think that we forgot that we needed to put out a call for nominations for the new humanitarian award. So I was looking at it when you're going to have to jot my mind because that award was going to be presented to Dr. Roswick in January of 2020, but I believe that would be the 2019 award, correct? It was from 2019 applicants, I know.
Correct. It was from the prior year.
Okay. So I don't know if we would just move forward as 2020, we didn't present an award, or if we want to backdate that award somehow, we're request nominations for that year. I think normally we put that call out in November or December, and then the award's presented in January. But item for discussion, do we want to present 2020's award this year? Do we want to present 2021's? I think if we were moving forward with 2021's award, we would probably follow the same pattern and request those applications in October, November, December timeframe. If we do want to, if we don't want to skip a year, I think we may have to put a pretty quick call out for applications. So any discussion on that?
Hi, this is Manisha, and I think that we should put a call out for a nomination because, yeah, even if it's COVID, we're still working as a committee, and we still should be able to recognize the individual who would be worthy of the award. So that's just how I feel, and I get it that the timelines might be shorter this year, but because of COVID, we haven't even presented the last award. So perhaps I do think that we should put in a call for nominations. Thank you.
I agree with that. I
Okay.
would make that a motion.
Just before we have a motion, Trevor, is there anybody who would disagree and feels like we should not pursue it at this time for sake of discussion? Okay, if not, then we have a motion to for Whitney to put the call out for nominations for the 2020 Humanitarian Award. Trevor made the motion. Do I have a second? Who seconded?
I did. Darcy did.
Okay, second from Darcy. All in favor, raise your hand or, okay. All opposed. All right, motion carries. So Whitney, if you can put the call out for applications, I think we normally keep that posted for 1 or 2 months. Is that correct?
Yep. And did you want that for like 2020 going forward, or just?
As far as we'd hold it at the same time each year?
Well, just calling for 2020, 2021 Humanitarian Award nominations, or do you want it just for 2020?
It's a good question. I think what I was understanding was this would be the award for they would be recognizing someone for the year of 2020, and then we put the call out in 2021, but I'm not sure. We could certainly have more discussion on that. Do we want to lump this together as a 2021 award, or? Does anybody have thoughts either way on that?
I don't see why we couldn't lump them together.
Okay, Darcy has indicated that we could put them together as a 2020 to 2021 award. Does anybody else feel that we should be giving out an award each year, an individual award?
Can I just, this is Manisha, can I just seek a clarification? So are we proposing that the we would be recognizing someone for 2020 and then also recognizing someone for 2021? Or are we proposing that we club them together for one award for both the years?
I think, Whitney, you could certainly clarify on that if I get this wrong, but I think what I was understanding is we're trying to decide if we're going to put out a call for nominations for the year, or essentially what we would put a call out for nominations this spring, or I guess we're still in winter, but January, February, the call for nominations would be in place of what we should have put out in November, December of last year. If the question would be then, does that cover, is that meant to cover last year and this year at the same time? Or are we going to put a call out again in October or November of this year? So if we lumped them together, I think we'd only give out one award this spring, and then we wouldn't put a call out for that this fall.
I think it makes sense to do.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Henny. Yeah, I was going to say, I think it makes sense to do it for 2020. And then again, in the fall, do a 2021.
Because I think this, maybe I can get my camera on here. I'm in a different place than I normally am. Oh, there we go. I think this 2021 will not necessarily, but possibly go to someone who's been working with COVID. That was 2020. And I think, healthcare worker or something would be really appropriate for that kind of award for this year. And then we'll, start fresh again in November to cover 2021. So I think both. If we decide to do 2020 now and then November, you decide not to do it, you could, I suppose.
And I agree with that, Hannah. I think that's kind of what my thought was as well. We've always done one a year with the exception of the odd year that we've missed. So I think that just sticking with that is probably the best way to go. We're a little late this go around, but I think we can pick back up this fall and
Yeah, with everything going on with COVID, I think it's okay
We
to be a
okay.
little off this year of 2021 and kind of get back into the groove, because I think everyone's still trying to feel it out even now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shay.
So I have one more
All right.
question.
Yeah.
You said January, February. As January is almost over, do you want to push it partially into March, or do you just want it to be ended at the end of February?
How long have we given in the past? I know that it's probably varied a bit because there's been some years where we didn't get many applications, so we had to extend it. But what would be the normal timeline? Is it usually 6 to 8 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks?
I would have to look, but I think you might have a better opportunity for applicants or nominations if you extend it a little bit.
How does the committee feel about March 15th if she rolled it out here sometime this week, if that's reasonable, a reasonable request, Whitney? If that was possible, are we comfortable with March 15th? We can always revisit that if we don't receive any applications, but I'm seeing a few head nods. Any dissent on that? All right, so let's do that, Whitney. Let's go with March 15th. And then at the next meeting, if you can just update us on the applications that we have received. And if we haven't received any, then we can talk about extending it at that time. And just a reminder too, that in past years, we've had to, as committee members, sometimes rally our friends, our family members to think about who they might want to nominate and really encourage people to submit nominations. So I'd ask all committee members to spend a little time thinking about, if you know somebody who deserves to be nominated, or if you know somebody who might have a couple great ideas or candidates, please encourage them to submit a nomination form. We as committee members can't submit them, but I I know in the past, the people that I've thought of for this award and thought have been worthy for this award, I know that I have peers who feel the same. So for me, I just reached out and suggested that they write one, knowing that they'd probably write it for somebody that I thought was very deserving. So if each committee member could just talk to one or two people and encourage them to submit that nomination, that would be great. All right, so next up on the agenda, we have the annual report, assignment of report for 2021. So before we get into the assignment of the report, Hannah, you have the annual reports together and you're going to be presenting that at the next commission meeting, right? I think you're muted.
Think it was my first meeting. Yes, tomorrow night. Yep. Good.
So tell us, for the new committee members on the call, tell us what that's going to be like when you're presenting and what you'll be presenting on.
Okay, right. So each year, we report, our committee reports to the city commission on what we've done during the past year. And they get a copy of the report itself, which is pictures and information about what we've done. The members of the committee, our mission statement, goals, that kind of thing is all in the report. My oral report is a little shorter than the written report. I touch on our highlights for the year. This year, I'm going to just go over we set goals in January before the pandemic. So I'm going to go over how we actually managed to accomplish most of those, even during the pandemic. So yeah.
So Hannah has been a great resource for this committee. This is her last meeting, but she's served phenomenally on this committee. We've been very lucky to have her, very active in all the activities and taking on different roles. And she's been the one who really spearheaded this annual report for the last couple of years. So what we need to do at this meeting, just so that the person who is going to take that project on is prepared throughout the year, we need to identify who's going to put the work in on the annual report and present it at next year's commission meeting. So Hannah, just can you provide a brief overview about the kind of work that you put in on that report every year?
Sure. I just try to keep track throughout the year, of our major events and what we've done. And there's written minutes that you can always go back to, thanks to Whitney. And I guess the main thing is, for the commissioners, they don't want to read pages and pages of details. I think pictures are always good. So take pictures of events and just sort of keep track, and that's about it. Near the end of the year, I put it all together in a document and send it off. So it's not tons of work, especially if you you'll keep track because you're part of everything that's going on in the committee. So.
How many, if you were going to break it down into time commitment, how many hours would you say you spend on it? A year, a month?
Oh, probably the actual putting together, going back to some of the minutes and putting my photos together, maybe a couple hours. During the last chunk of putting it together. I mean, the other time is taking pictures and attending things. Yeah. Yep.
All right. So we're looking for somebody to take that task on in Bubby.
And I can send, I haven't publisher, but we can probably change that. I can send that to anyone, and really you just have to plug in your own photos, and it would already have the mission statement and the logo and all that stuff on it. So it would take less than 2 hours probably.
So looking for somebody to take on that responsibility in 2022, it would be the work would take place in 2021, the presentation in 2022. So I guess I'd open it up for any questions that committee members might have about the process, or if somebody is ready and willing to step up and take on that responsibility, we'd gladly accept that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Bubblegum just got a bath yesterday, so she just wants to show off her new coat. So you gotta forgive her. All right. Is there anybody who would be interested in taking that on? I don't hear any questions, but hoping we can find somebody to take on that role. I really don't want to table this because I feel like we've been tabling a lot of discussion. So if there's anybody who would give it a chance, that would be really great. If not, I guess I can always take it on.
I just have a question. Before like Hannah presents it, do you guys look at it and give feedback, or is there just trust there since she's done it so long that she's good to go?
To be honest, I think that she has done it well, and she's done it well the last few times she's done it. So she probably doesn't need much feedback. But Hannah does send it on to myself, and I believe on to Whitney for review. And I think this year there was one small thing missing, and I gave her feedback on. Otherwise, it was great. So using that existing template, it's really easy to, like she said, it would probably only take a few hours. You kind of fill in the blanks. Update a few pictures. A lot of the content's already there, but there are always people who can serve as the second set of eyes. Doesn't necessarily come before the entire committee for a review, but I as chair have reviewed it, and I believe somebody at the city staff has looked it over. Probably Whitney. Does that sound right, Hannah? Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
I haven't used Publisher, but I'm willing to learn. And since I'm the new person, I would take it on since it doesn't have that huge a time commitment. It doesn't seem. And I'm sure you would be willing for me to ask you questions if needed. So.
Definitely.
Well, wonderful. Thank you, Sargiana, for taking that on. Like Hannah said, it's not a huge commitment, but it's really kind of a fun way to, do your part for the committee. It's not a heavy lift, so I think it's a good one to take on early on. It'll get you familiar too with some of the activities that we do. So thank you. Appreciate that. As far as Jason, if we wanted to watch the Zoom meeting or the broadcast meeting, or if we wanted to attend in person, is there any information that we need to know about for that presentation as far as what time of the meeting it'll occur and how we will connect virtually?
Sure. The meeting is tomorrow. It starts at 5:15. For anybody that's looking to attend in person, it's in the Tom Baker meeting room, which is in the lower level of the city county building. It's where all the city commission meetings are held, the park board, the county, the schools, they all meet in the same room. The meetings are always broadcast live on Dakota Media Access. So if you have cable, it'll be on channel 2 or channel 602. If you don't have cable and you prefer to find it, you can get it through Facebook, through Dakota Media Access. Their Facebook page streams it live. I think that's probably it. We will have some staff members, city staff that participate remotely. We're still trying to limit occupancy in the room. So as far as like a Zoom call or something like that, that's really not an option. It's more for staff, but either Facebook or freetv.org, that's their homepage. You can find it there as well. And then if you're not able to catch the meeting live, just know that all public meetings of the City Commission and the like are rebroadcast on Dakota Media Access channels, or you can also get them on demand. It sometimes is a day or two after the meeting. You should be able to go to that freetv.org website and pull it up at your discretion. You can fast forward and replay and manipulate it no different than you could any other online video or streaming platform. If I may, Chair Roush, I would like to mention for Sargiana and for Jason, Whitney and I are here as city staff. So we are a resource for this group and this committee. We don't vote, but we participate in the meetings. We help prepare the agenda. We'll meet with Krista ahead of time to kind of talk through what's on the next agenda. But just know, Sargiano, when you're ready to start working on the annual report, we're here too. You know, we're here with minutes, with meeting notes. We might have pictures. We might have a ton of information. So I don't want you to feel like you're out on a flagpole all by yourself trying to figure this out. Whitney's really good with this type of stuff too. So just know that we're here for you. And that's our primary role, is to staff this board and make sure that you guys have effective meetings and you're able to obtain your goals and move forward in the mission of the Human Relations Committee.
Thank you for adding that, Jason. Jason and Whitney are both incredibly helpful, and they always have been as far as the work on this committee. So if you need if you have any questions about the committee or any tasks that you're working on, feel free to reach out to either of them. There is something that's somewhat important to mention in case you haven't served on a city committee before. We are expected to follow Robert's Rules of Order and the laws that cover open meetings in the state of North Dakota. So if you are to reach out to ask questions about the committee, we generally say don't reply all, don't message all members of the committee. You can contact myself, Jason, or Whitney, but larger group discussions need to be limited during committee time. So, but Jason and Whitney are excellent resources, and I think a lot of times if you're not sure on if this is something you can talk to another committee member about, the best thing to do is just reach out to Whitney and ask, and she can always disseminate information to the rest of the committee. We just can't have a dialogue going back and forth on an email thread. So I hope I covered that correctly, Jason, and didn't confuse anything, but I think that's the general policy, right?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think the key thing here is just to make sure that we don't end up with a series of kind of offline meetings where you're all trading emails back and forth, because if you end up with a quorum, which is the majority of your committee, so that committee is 9, the quorum means 5. If there's any communications between that, we're gonna end up in trouble with the Attorney General's office, and that's not anything we want to do. So always err on the side of caution, but if you're ever unsure, please just reach out to Whitney and I, and we can help facilitate that communication. As staff, we're exempt from those types of concerns. So again, use us as a resource, because we're here to make sure everybody is successful and we don't run into any trouble.
Thank you, Jason. So that takes us in, now that we've had Sargiano step up and take on that annual report responsibility. That takes us into the cultural awareness and sensitivity training. I have a lisp or a stutter today, and I don't know where it came from. But touching on that, so that's the training that Brandy has been looking to put together for the committee, really, in an effort to help make sure that we have the skills to do what we need to do to fulfill our mission. I'm not seeing Brandy on the call. Whitney, do you see if she's joined? I see a phone number, but I think that might be Darcy.
Yeah, I was just double checking, and I'm showing that her and Collie are both out.
Okay. And unfortunately, that's the next 2 items on our agenda. Collie and Brandy would be the ones leading those. But I do have some questions about that cultural awareness and sensitivity training. So Whitney had sent out, at our last meeting, we had discussed, when would be a good time to hold this training. And Whitney had sent out a link so that we could respond with our availability. And I believe at this time only 4 people have responded, so not even half of the committee members have responded. And I think that brings me to a conclusion that maybe this isn't a training that we all think is valuable, or maybe we don't have the time to attend. So I think that we might need to revisit that and just discuss whether or not we want to proceed with the training. This is something we've had on the agenda for several months, and we haven't been able to get it scheduled. So I think we have to identify if this is something the committee really wants to move forward with. So I'm just going to be quiet for a couple minutes here, and hopefully the committee can talk through this and we can make a decision.
Can you, and I don't know who wants to answer, but give us a background like of who would be doing the training and what topics specifically are going to be talked about and then how long it's going to be?
Excellent question, Sarjana. So Brandy Hardy, who serves on this committee, was looking to lead the training. And I'm trying to remember there was another person who was going to participate in that. I'm looking at the minutes. Whitney, do you have that at the ready as far as who the other presenter was?
I do not because they are at the office.
Okay. I might be able to find them digging back.
I was gonna say they should be on, and she didn't give me names, I don't think. Just it says she provided 2 weeks in February that would be available. And then it said it would be between 50 and 90 minutes. That's what I have in the minutes from last time.
And I know it was somebody notable. I just can't remember. I can scroll through my email and see. I have all of the minutes saved, so I can see if I can find one while we have some discussion. But the idea was that in order to fulfill our mission, we needed to be knowledgeable about the different I guess demographics in our community, whether it's new Americans, people with disabilities, the LGBTQ community, and having the skills and the dialogue, I guess, to best serve those community members. She had specifically stated in a meeting in the past, I think she felt that there was some language that she thought had we had this training, some of our committee members wouldn't have used, some language that some people might be sensitive to. So I remember her raising those concerns. And so she proposed organizing this training. I believe there would be 2 or 3 people presenting. And I think it might be the Human Rights Coalition. She chairs a certain human rights group. And so that's why I feel like it would be related to that. But I'm gonna, while everybody discusses it, I'm gonna look and see if I can find those minutes so I can better answer your question, Sargiana.
I think it's a good training, but I think it's bad timing to do it with COVID and everything going on. I can do it anytime, but with COVID, I think a lot of people just, don't have the time right now. But I do think it's something we could come back to.
Thank you, Trevor. I think that there would be some possibility it could be conducted virtually as well. But that's a good point. It's probably not the best time to gather. I think everybody has a different risk tolerance or, maybe a different comfort level. And so it might be challenging to get us all together in one spot right now. And we certainly have to respect that given the pandemic is happening. Does anybody else have any thoughts on the training? I don't want to say let's, move past it, let's cancel it, let's not move forward without having a pretty good consensus of the group.
Hi. I agree that I think that it's a really good and important idea that we have the training, but I do feel like right now is just like not a great time for anyone. And I think not that everyone's affected by it, but the legislature being in session for the short time that they do once every 2 years right now, and knowing that maybe by this spring or summer it might be safer to meet as a group, I think it could be more impactful to do it in person as well. So I think we shouldn't let go of the idea, but if we could maybe push it to summer or something like that.
Thank you, Annette. Does anybody else have any thoughts on moving forward with the training or maybe postponing it for a later date? Anybody on the other side of the spectrum who thinks, you know, hey, this is great and we need to do it now? If there's no further discussion, I guess I would be looking for a motion to postpone the training to a later date.
I would make a motion to do that.
I would second it to say next fall, September timeframe.
By next fall, do you mean September 2021 or 2022?
This coming September 2021. Revisit it at the meeting and see if it's a better time to do it then.
Okay.
I guess for me, it's the huge question is when is this COVID going to be done? So I don't know if you can really put a date on that.
So I think, Darcy, your original motion was to postpone it until this fall, right?
Pretty much. I mean, it's just that to kind of revisit it or whatever. It's how could I put it with the social distancing, being quarantined or whatever. It's just kind of hard to explain. I think that's part of our problem is that we wouldn't get no one hardly to come to that.
So postpone it, just to clarify for Whitney, who's writing down the minutes, where the motion is to postpone the training until it's safe to do so, safe to gather?
Right, exactly.
Okay. Trevor, are you still comfortable seconding that?
Yeah, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay. All right, all in favor signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, the motion carries. So we will postpone that training until it's safe to gather again. Next on the agenda, we had the Bismarck Global Neighbors Diversity and Inclusion Partnership. That's the language access education that we've talked about at our previous meetings. For Jason and Sargiana, what we were looking at doing there is providing a educational opportunity for businesses in the community where they could learn about ways they could be more accessible to people who speak different languages. And we would be working with Leah Hargrove at Bismarck Global Neighbors to put that training on if and when we move forward with that. Leah had come to our committee meetings in the past and she had shared that this was a real challenge for our new Americans. And we have already made a few changes with the city. Whitney has implemented a few changes on the website that have made it more accessible for people who speak different languages. I believe our forums, the website itself, can now be translated into several different languages. So we've gotten the ball rolling on meeting some of those goals, at least on the city level. But this training itself is something we've been discussing for a while. Colley has taken on the responsibility. He's another committee member who isn't able to be here today. He's been in conversations with Leah about how we might be able to accomplish that, talking about, who might be able to provide that training, when that training might be able to take place. Leah has quite a few connections. So we can't really move forward with anything on that just now without Colley here to give us his recap on that. But those are the items that you'll likely see on a future agenda. And then the Portland, Oregon Immigrant and Refugee Program. That's a program for new Americans who have come to the Portland, Oregon community. And that's something that Colley is going to look through and advise the committee. Is this something that can be implemented in Bismarck or maybe cherry pick, hey, these are a few things that we can implement in Bismarck, but these wouldn't work. So with Collie not able to attend tonight, we'll probably just move forward with that. But I did want to make sure to remind our committee members and, of course, introduce you to the ideas that were marked on the agenda there. So that takes us into our review of the Human Relations Committee goals. These are the goals, if you looked on the agenda, and I'll read them off here in a second, these are the goals that we set in 2020. I think it's time for us to set our 2021 goals with the new year being here. But our goals in 2020 were we wanted to have a full committee. We wanted to start a new program that helped bring some student liaisons onto our committee so that they could get engaged and see how they could really impact their community. And through the work that we do, Sister Hannah spoke to several service clubs and committees about the work that we do. And then we also wanted to participate in community events. The third one that I skipped over, Diversity University, is something that we do every year, twice a year, typically once in the spring, summer, and once in the fall, winter. So in the past, Diversity University has been, film screenings that are important historically or culturally. We've had cultural dinners where we celebrate the different cultures represented in our community through food. Last fall, or actually last winter, it was in December, because we couldn't meet in lieu of the cultural dinner that took place at Legacy High School. Manisha and Hannah did a cultural cooking club, and they had a video that was shared on YouTube and the city Facebook page, and it was very cool, very well done. We partnered with Dakota Media Access on that, and then city staff also helped us in the production of that, and Christine did a great job, Christine with the city. So those are a couple that we've done in the past. We've also had discussions. I know Brandy in the spring had some ideas of having some roundtable discussions about women who are successful in different areas of their lives, different careers, different activities. So really focus on women in leadership. Got canceled, of course, due to the pandemic, so we weren't able to follow through with that. But that might give you an idea of some of the Diversity University events we do. Typically for those events, somebody on the committee steps up and says they want to organize an event. I was the cultural dinner gal. I did that for 2 or 3 years. It was incredibly rewarding. I met some really amazing people, and I feel very blessed that I had the opportunity to do that. Like I said, Sister Hannah and Manisha stepped up and did those videos. So it does require some work outside of committee time. But it is something that, like I said, we do 2 events a year. So you would have the support of this committee and plenty of time to execute if you get started early. So those are the goals that we had in place in 2020. I know that in past discussions of this committee, the student liaisons was tabled until May of this year. So it's my assumption that we'd like to continue forth with that one. But I think that the other, and of course, Diversity University, I think that's part, I think that might even be written in our bylaws that we would take part in that every year. So those 2, I assume, are going to stay in place. But as far as speaking to service clubs and committees, is that something that we want to continue on with? Hannah, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you set those up, what the process was?
Okay, I just gathered a list of community groups like the Lions Club, the other ones, Sertoma Club, there's quite a few. And then I just mostly emailed their directors, and they're almost all always looking for people to speak at their luncheons and other events from the community. And most people in Bismarck have not heard of the Human Relations Club. So it was, I did 3 before the pandemic. And yeah, they were always received really well. People hadn't heard of it. I did like a slideshow, so I had some pictures and just kind of told about our activities. And then I always ended with, what would you like to see this committee do, kind of thing. There's usually about 20 minutes. Usually get a free meal with it. that's about it. Yeah, if you don't mind a little public speaking, and they're always receptive crowds, you know, mostly older, but yeah. Oh, the Optimist Club.
So I think the important thing to point out, of course, if we're going to put this down as a goal, we're really going to need somebody to spearhead that effort. Hannah was great about, seeking out the opportunities to speak and speaking at those events. I think that's where we need to have some discussion. If we want to continue with this, we need to identify somebody who's willing to step up to those opportunities. So do we have any committee members who are comfortable with public speaking, interested in taking on that task?
I would be, but I'm not good with the technology and slideshows, so that's my only pitfall.
You certainly wouldn't have to do a slideshow, Trevor. I think if you just wanted to speak and tell people about what we do, that would be absolutely fine. You wouldn't need that technology.
Yeah, I would be willing to. The only thing is right now with the pandemic, it's kind of hard for me to get out right now.
Do you know, Hannah, were they doing any of those meetings over Zoom? Did you ever hear back on that they were looking for speakers to do virtual presentations?
Yeah, they are. Touchmark and I, we tried like 3 times, but it was their end. They had problems. But yeah, a lot of the groups are either doing online or I think most of the Lions are back in person. But I suppose, yeah, they'd probably allow you to Zoom in. They're all just very open to speakers, and they'll schedule you out months ahead if you want. Yes, I think virtually would be fun.
Trevor, you mentioned that you're not comfortable with the so comfortable with a lot of the technologies. Is a virtual presentation something, something like we're doing now with Teams, is that something you're comfortable with, or is that?
I am, as long as they send me the link, I can just click on it, as long as it's not too complicated.
Okay. So how do you feel about giving those presentations? Is that something you want to move forward with, or what's your comfort level?
I'm comfortable. I'm willing to give it a try, I guess. But yeah, I'm willing to give it a try, I guess.
Okay. I'm sure if you have any questions, Hannah would be able to help you out. So I'll put you down for speaking to the service clubs and committees. And Whitney, if you can reflect that in the minutes. Thank you, Trevor, for stepping up for that. I think that, like Hannah said, there are a lot of people who haven't heard about our committee and the work that we do. So I think it's a really great way to just spread the word on. The next thing we have on the agenda is participating in community events. I think that's something we'd certainly like to continue doing. I think that one's a no-brainer. They might look a little differently in 2021, but hopefully in the fall we'll be back to gathering again. Does anybody have any different opinions on that? Do we all agree that that should be a part of our goals? And some of those events too, just as a reminder, the events that we participate in are very central to our mission. We've had booths at the Pride in the Park or Pride at the Capitol. If there's an international festival or activity going on, we try to attend those as well. And all committee members are encouraged, if you hear about something going on in the community that aligns with our mission, please bring it back to the next committee meeting so that we can all be involved or attend the event if possible. We have full committee down on review of HRC goals. We've achieved that. I mean, we have a full and fairly active committee right now, so I think that we could probably remove that from our goals unless anybody has any discussion on that or any difference of opinion. I mean, certainly we could maintain a full committee, but I don't know if it needs to be a goal. What are everybody else's thoughts on that? judging from the silence, I think nobody's too concerned with if we strike that off the list. Am I right? Okay. So Whitney, remove the full committee off the list.
I will take that off. Along those lines, we had word that a member was stepping down, which is why the other Jason is on the call tonight. The mayor did review our applicants, and he has recommended, well, tomorrow night, the committee or the city commission will review for approval Jason to the committee. So his first meeting would be in February. So just to update you guys that we are still going strong, and even though we're losing a member, we'll have another one coming in, hopefully to be an active participant.
Thank you. That was actually my next thing on the agenda. So let's, before we move on to that, I'm just curious if we have any other goals that we want to add to 2021 before we move on. I'm seeing some heads shaking. I'm not seeing any hands raised. I'm seeing Hannah eating French fries, and now I'm hungry.
Can I just ask one question about the student liaison one? Are you looking for a student liaison as in high schoolers or college students or both?
So we're looking for high schoolers, and Manisha has been leading that effort. So I think I can just toss it over to her. Manisha, do you want to explain what that program looks like?
Sure. Hi, Sariana. Welcome to the committee. We are looking for high school students, and more so, I know that our motive was really to be able to rope in our high schoolers who could be passionate about serving the community and understanding the purpose of the human relations. And of course, our timing was perfect with COVID, due to which we haven't had very many student applicants. We didn't even get one, and that's why we tabled it. But it would really entail that the student should be able to attend at least one of our meetings, and more so us being in the support and moreover in a support role, helping them start those projects in the community with other students. So just like a grassroots movement, just helping them understand the importance of, being there for everybody and respect for persons.
And I don't know who you've had contact with, but my recommendation, if we haven't, I know Tana Sukauskas, who heads the AVID program in all of the schools and the high schools, and those students are great to target because they actually probably could get some type of credit towards the AVID class for doing something like this, and they have to do at least one project a year where they're with other students and something like this. So I've talked to those students in the past about my nonprofit, and I mean, that's pre-COVID, of course, but I know they were willing also to do via Zoom or something. So maybe looking at that population in the high schools to look at.
I think that's such a fantastic idea. Thank you for suggesting that, because right now what we did was we reached out to the high schools and we gave them information. But I really do think it is the timing, because the high schools were all busy trying to figure out whether they're going hybrid or they're going full time. So absolutely, I think once we get back to getting this project rolling, hopefully in May, we'll reach out to those AVID students as well. And, Whitney, if you can just put it in the minutes, that'll help. Then we can come back to it and make sure that we reach out to them. So thank you.
Great suggestion, Sarjana. It's your first meeting and you're already bringing a wealth of information. So I appreciate that. Manisha is going to be, I think we're going to revisit the student liaison program in May so we can be ready to launch it around the school year. And I think that she would welcome any help if that's something that you think is intriguing to you and you want to be a part of. I'm sure she'd welcome your help on organizing that and executing on it. So thank you for the feedback. Unfortunately, I think that brings us to the sadder part of our meeting. Our Vice Chair, Shay Helen, has some news to share. So Shay, I'm going to talk over to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to attend and let everyone know I am stepping down as the vice chair and off the committee. Very difficult decision for me, but it sounds like we've got Jason and we've got some other folks that want the opportunity to get on the committee and make a difference in the community here. So I'm excited that the committee is still going strong and pushing forward, but unfortunately, it is my time to step down and let some others on. Personally, I just have to kind of thin my plate out a little bit and focus on some things that are going on. So, like I said, it has really been an honor being a part of the committee. I think I've been on for 4, maybe 5 years, something like that. And serving as the vice chair has been awesome. Getting to know all of you has been great. New members, I'm rooting for you. I hope you guys have a great experience and really make a nice difference for our community here. So thank you all. And I do look forward to attending some of your guys' events in the future and getting this COVID behind us so that we can get back to what we were doing. So.
Thank you, Shay. It's been a privilege to have you on our committee and for you've helped me out several times on occasions when I couldn't be at meetings, stepped up and took control of the meetings. I feel like you've attended every event that we've ever put on. You've been so supportive of all of the committee members and their work on the committee. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You leave behind tough shoes to fill, and we are all going to miss you greatly. So we hope to see you at those events. Don't be a stranger.
Absolutely. I definitely will be attending. So thank you.
Thank you. So that lets me explain a little bit more. I think Whitney kind of led into it, but that's why Jason's with us today. We will have one more position to fill, and hopefully we didn't scare Jason off and he thinks that we're all right people. I saw that he had a black cat, so I know he's a cat person. And you know, black cats are apparently the most persecuted of the cats. So, you know, you have a soft spot in your heart, and I appreciate that. It's hard to find a black cat at home from what I hear, and I love that you have one. And I hear it's because they don't photograph well. That they're not Instagrammable. I don't know if that's true, but you got a soft spot in my heart, so welcome. I guess with Shay leaving the committee, that leaves us with no vice chair in that current position. So it's a good time, I think, for us to revisit who is going to be the chair and the vice chair moving forward. I believe I've been in the chair position for 2 years, but if we have another member of the committee who's looking to step up and help lead these meetings, it might be a good opportunity to do it. I have 1 year left on the committee and then my term will be up. So I think it's time for us to revisit those roles and who we want to see or who is interested in taking them on in the next year.
I would be willing to do vice chair.
Do we have anybody interested in serving as the chair? So a little background in case you're not certain on the roles of the chair and the vice chair. As chair, the primary responsibilities are to connect with Jason and Whitney on the agenda, and then, of course, follow Robert's Rules of Order throughout the meetings. I'm sure there's somebody there who's much better at Robert's Rules than me. I sometimes struggle on when to make a motion and when just to move ahead, but Jason and Whitney are fantastic at being resources should you have those questions. And they are way wiser than I've ever been when it comes to open meetings. So it's a really great opportunity for somebody who wants to be more involved in committees to learn and grow in that capacity, because you have, like I said, some great resources there. Vice chair then, primary role of vice chair is if the chair is not able to run the meeting, the vice chair takes that role. So if the chair is out sick or has another conflict, that's when the vice chair would step up.
I would be willing to give it a shot.
As chair?
I would.
All right. So we've had somebody express interest in chair and somebody express interest in vice chair. Is there anybody else who's interested, or do we want to make a motion to appoint them to those positions?
I'll move.
Okay, so I have a motion from Manisha to appoint Darcy as chair and Trevor as vice chair of the committee. Do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Annette.
And a second from Annette. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. So I believe then this is for the 2021 year. So Trevor and Darcy, you will begin those roles at our next meeting, so in February. If you have any questions, you can reach out. I'd be certainly happy to answer them. Darcy, since you will be taking on the position of chair, you'll need to visit with Jason and Whitney. They'll send you the minutes ahead of time so you can make sure everything was, I guess, documented correctly. And then at our next meeting, you'll call the meeting to order and take us through the conversation. All right.
I think I can handle that.
Okay. And if not, you can always, lean on me. I'm happy to help. If it becomes too much of a challenge, I can certainly step in and take over, or you can we can open it up to other committee members to see if they're interested. But I'm looking forward to you leading the committee. All right, so that takes us into other business. Is there any other business that needs to come before the committee? All right. Hearing none. Whitney, is there anything that we previously discussed that I didn't get to that was on our agenda?
Not that I am aware of. I think we hit on everything.
Okay. Well, we're at 6:21, so hearing no further discussion, I think I would accept a motion to adjourn. Trevor, I think you broke up. Did you make a motion?
When is our next meeting? It's the week after President's Day, right?
Yes, so I believe in February, we always meet the third Monday at 5:15. And I think, yep, February 15th is President's Day. So our next meeting will be February 22nd. And Whitney will send out the agenda, the minutes, and the team's call information for that prior to the meeting.
Yeah, I was just checking to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would so move to adjourn.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second from Darcy. All in favor signify by saying aye or waving your hand.
Aye.
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 All right, all opposed. We are adjourned. Sargiana, Jason, welcome. We are glad to have you here, and I'm excited to see what you're going to bring to the committee. And as long as we're Zooming, I'm going to be looking forward to that cat, Jason. I am a cat lady, so. All right. Well, thank you guys. I think that, you probably want to get dinner started, so I'll let you go. Jason and Whitney, I'll stay on the call for just a couple minutes.
Before we leave, Sister Hannah and Shay, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure working with you all this past year. Thank you.
Thank you, Manisha. Same to you.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure on this side too. So you guys have been great. We'll see you again here shortly.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Jason. Bye, Sargiana. Bye,
Thank
Sister.
you. Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.